Hello, welcome to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Sprocket, West Kentucky, and KY Innovation. Welcome back to episode 252. We are talking news of the last few weeks. We actually skipped our news segment 2 weeks ago because it was our 250th, and we wanted to just kind of reflect on the last 250 episodes, but we're back into the news, and it's never a great news day when we talk about the news because there's just a lot of things going on in the cyber world. But let's get into it. So first, I want to talk about data breaches. And actually, a lot of what we're going to do is talking about data breaches today and things that are targeting us. And the first one is some recent data from Proton found that small businesses are particularly at risk. I actually was at speaking at a conference just yesterday, and there's a lot of people that have the mindset that I'm a small business, I don't have enough money, I don't make enough money, I don't do enough things. Why would I be a target? And what this research is showing us, or what this data is showing us, is that 71% of data breaches impact small businesses. Now, small businesses are defined as smaller than 250 employees. Now, for me, some of those 200 employee business is more than just a small business, but that's the way that it's defined. 49% of data breaches in 2025, according to Proton, targeted companies 10 to 249 employees, and then 23% targeted companies with less than 10 employees or 10 or fewer employees. So 71% targeted those smaller companies. They also noted that there were 800 confirmed data breaches in 2025 with more than 300 million records that were exposed. That's a lot. That's a lot of data. That's a lot of breaches. And this is just from one data source. This is from Proton. My point with sharing this is, are you a target? The answer is yes, you are a target. You need to know that you're a target, and you need to be prepared for that. Related to that with small businesses, something that I always get asked is, do companies really shut down after a data breach? And so this was an article, and some data actually came from well, there was some data that came out a long time ago that used to say 60% of small businesses close within 6 months. The National Cybersecurity Alliance debunked that, said that's not true, that many companies don't really shut down. Recently, there have been additional research that has shown, according to the Viking Cloud 2025 Small Business Threat Landscape Report, it found that approximately 20% of small, medium-sized businesses would be forced to permanently close due to a successful cyber attack. Whatever that number is. The reality is that number is not zero. There is some chance that if you have a successful cyber attack against your organization, that you are going to have to shut down. Now, what that also means is, what are you doing to protect and to minimize that? So just because you have a data breach, or just because you have a cyber attack, just because you have an incident, doesn't mean let's roll the dice. 1 in 5 are going to shut down. Those 1 in 5 are likely because they had not done the things to prepare themselves to respond correctly. For example, did they have backups? Do they have an incident response plan? What type of industry are they in? What type of insurance coverage is there? What's the exact nature of the attack? All of these things, all of these pieces matter, but there are steps that you can do to prepare for when that incident happens. Are you ready for it? So my recommendation is to plan, is to have a plan in place, to execute that plan, to be able to respond in a way with backups, with insurance, with an incident response plan, with all the things that you need to go and be successful to minimize the chance that your company's going to have to shut its doors. All right. Now, I, I find this interesting. You will often hear me talk about the human element. And 90% of insurance claims, according to InsureSec rankings report 2025, says that email and remote access remain the most prominent cybersecurity threat vectors, accounting for 90% of insurance claims in 2024. 90%. Now, the problem is a couple of pieces. First of all, your email credentials. I always ask this question when I give presentations. Your email credentials are probably the most valuable thing that you have. First of all, if it's Office 365, then that login information goes to a lot of different things. Second of all, what happens if you forget your bank account password? It'll send you an email reset. What if you forget your Facebook or your retirement or your, uh, you know, whatever email or a user account? It's going to send you an email to reset your password. That's the typical way that happens. Well, if I have your email credentials, then I can reset all of your passwords, or at least all the ones that use email as part of that reset piece. That continues to be the most susceptible, the most vulnerable piece that we have. And part of that is because we click the links in the emails. Do not click links. Do not click links. Do not click links. We cannot trust, yet we trust. So that's a big one, and that we continue to struggle with. Sorry, this next article, Yale New Haven Health, it doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I don't use that health system. It's in Connecticut. Most of you are not in Connecticut, but I use this as an example because there were several stories over the last few weeks of organizations settling lawsuits or reaching an agreement in lawsuits because of data breaches. There is a very high likelihood that you're going to be sued if you have a data breach. There's a very high likelihood that if you have a data breach that involves customer information, you're going to have a lawsuit. A lot of these are because you're not doing the things that you're supposed to. You claim it. It's a healthcare organization. I would assume that they were complying with HIPAA, or at least claiming to comply with HIPAA. But there's financial burden that occurs to these users because of that, and they won their lawsuit, or at least they reached a settlement. I could have shown another half dozen or more organizations that reach similar lawsuit settlements. It's just, that's the world that we're in. You need to do those industry acceptable, those best practices to minimize the chance of you getting sued. All right, I'm going to talk about one last thing, and it's heartbreaking, and it's it's in Kentucky. Most of you have probably seen the deadly plane crash from Tuesday in Louisville. A couple of pieces. I don't want to talk about the crash itself. It's horrible. There's too many people that lost their lives, and there's plenty of organizations covering that. What I want to talk about is the scamming that goes on following that. This is an article from the NBC affiliate in Louisville talking about scammers targeting the victims' families. But let me broaden that out. I was talking to someone that was dealing with the fake news stories that were being created to try to entice people to click links in social media that would ultimately either steal credentials or infect you with malware with the intention of stealing money or credentials from you. Um, that is the reality of the world. We all wanted to know what was going on. We all wanted to see the video or news about what's going on. I actually was in Louisville that day, that night, and there was an air quality concern. There was a lot of things going on. Everybody wanted news, and the bad guys know that, and they are going to entice you to click links to ultimately infect you with malware, ultimately try to hit you with ransomware, try to steal money from you, all of these things just because there's a bad thing that has happened. We, no matter what, we have to stay alert and realize that bad things are going to happen, and when these bad things happen, the criminals are going to take advantage of it. You have to be careful. All right, I went over time. I feel like I say it every time, but thank you for sticking around and watching. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I always am happy to answer questions or talk more. And I'll see you next week back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.